All right, hello everyone. My name is Prachi. I'm a counseling psychologist at CareMe Health, and today I'm going to tell you about attachment styles. Many a times, we think that, why am I only available to people who are not available to me? And sometimes we keep thinking about why am I running into toxic kinds of relationships, and I'm not able to really think about myself, and it's like an ongoing cycle, it's an ongoing pattern. So today I'm going to tell you about attachment styles. Now, attachment style is a specific pattern of behavior in and around relationships. All of us have an attachment style, and these attachment styles actually come from our relationship with our parents. Now, the fun fact is that you will mimic your attachment style, whatever attachment style you had with your parent, in your romantic relationships and in other relationships in general. A lot of times we also see this in different kinds of friendships, right? Sometimes our friends are not available for us. Sometimes we think that, maybe the partner is not right. But yet, as I said, we keep running in circles. So, attachment style includes the way we interact, the way we respond emotionally, the way we form a bond with other persons, right? And on that basis of attachment style, we form our relationships. Now, there are typically four kinds of attachment styles: secure, avoidant, which is also known as dismissive or anxious avoidant. Then there is anxious attachment style, which is also known as preoccupied or anxious ambivalent. And there is disorganized, which is also known as fearful avoidant attachment style. Now, to tell you about the first attachment style, which is secure attachment. Now, secure, right? This word is quite self explanatory. Secure attachment is where you're able to, you have the ability to form a very secure, a very loving, and a very open relationship. This is where you, or anyone who has a secure attachment, they will not hesitate from trusting other people. They would feel trusted by the other person. They would have a transparent way of communicating their feelings with people around them, especially their partners. Then they would know how to love. They would also accept love. They would easily become close, and they would be able to form a long lasting relationship. In this attachment style, you are also you feel comfortable. You don't feel very scared, or you don't feel fearful when your partner or your friend or your parent leaves you, right? If they need some time apart, if they need some space from you, you will be totally independent, and you wouldn't feel the need that, okay, I need this person in my life to feel safe. So, secure attachment is considered the healthy and the ideal way of relationships. All other attachment styles that are not secure are known as insecure attachment styles. So, now coming to the second one, which is anxious attachment. So, anxious attachment is basically a type of insecure attachment which is marked by a deep fear of abandonment. If you or someone you know who has an anxious attachment style, they would tend to feel very insecure about their relationships. They would often worry. They would feel, they would feel abandoned. They would feel lonely if their partner leaves them, even for a little while. They would always want that validation from them. They would always seek some sort of dependency in the relationship. And these are the kinds of people who are generally called as needy, right? They are tagged as needy people, or to put it in a better way, their behavior is going to be very clingy. And again, as I said, to give you a maybe a live example, if somebody has an anxious attachment style and you're texting, you're one of them and you're texting your partner, you don't get a reply back. Let's say not immediately, right? It's fine. But if you don't get a reply within the few hours, you will start to feel like that, oh, I'm losing out on them. Maybe you will start judging your feelings towards the relationship. You will also judge the relationship completely. You will also judge your partner for feeling that, oh, maybe they don't need me anymore, right? So you would feel that you're not cared about enough. So anxious attachment is also known as anxious preoccupied attachment, and it is generally, it aligns with anxious ambivalent attachment. So anxious avoidant attachment is one of the classic relationship attachment styles that you will get to see. Now, coming to the next one, which is avoidant attachment. This is a type of insecure attachment style where it is marked by severe fear of intimacy, right? So, if you're somebody who fears intimacy, who feels overwhelmed when you're showered with love, care, and attention, you will back off. You will feel that, oh, is this even real, right? Such people have trouble in getting close or feeling close with others, and they find it very hard to trust people around them. They would generally feel that maybe they have some ulterior motive, or maybe their love is not real, and again, you will back off from the relationship. Now, avoidant people typically maintain some distance, be it with their friends or be it with their partners, right? And they are extremely emotionally unavailable. So, if you expect them to care for your emotions, you will find it very hard for them to express it to you. So, avoidant people may find relationships very suffocating, right? They would say that, oh, I cannot do this, and or maybe they would say that I don't have time to feel right now, and they would just vanish, right? They prefer being independent. They think that, they don't really require anyone, and they are enough for themselves. So they completely would avoid any sort of affection, any sort of care, any sort of attention. Avoidant attachment is also known as dismissive avoidant attachment, right? And as I said, it generally aligns with the anxious attachment style. Now, moving on to the last one, which is fearful avoidant attachment style. Now, this is a combination of both anxious and avoidant attachment style, right? People who have a fearful avoidant attachment, they have a very desperate craving for attention, and yet they want to avoid it at all costs. So they would want it, but when they get it, they're not going to accept it, right? Now, they're very reluctant to develop a close romantic relationship. You may also find them very in two boats in friendships also. Like, okay, they want to be there for their friends, but they also don't want to be there, right? They have a hard time trusting. They would feel that their dire need of being loved and feel that love by others is something that they might never get, right? So as I said, they're very reluctant to develop that kind of relationship where they can love, accept love, where they can trust the other person completely, and where they feel that, okay, I am also trusted by the other person completely. Now, in general, this attachment style is not very well researched, I would say, but yes, we do know that it is associated with significant psychological and relational risks. There could be a number of reasons why a person is not able to fully open themselves in relationships. So anybody who comes from the insecure attachment style, for example, as I said, fearful avoidant attachment style, anxious avoidant attachment style, and avoidant attachment style. These three are the insecure attachment styles. Now, there are a few signs that you can check for yourself that, okay, which sign I think I come from. All right, so I'll tell you the first one, which is the avoidant attachment style. So how you may develop it. Now, these attachment styles are something that, as I said, these attachment styles we bring in our life through our parents. So your relationship with your parent, with your primary caregiver, is going to heavily influence your way of perceiving the world, your way of trusting other people, because our parents have a huge impact on us, right? When we are children, we model them, right? We mimic their subtleties, we pick from their habits. So again, attachment style is also something that is it has its roots in childhood. So the first one, as I said, is avoidant attachment. Now, this is where you might feel that you're left out to look after yourself. You might you were expected to be independent. You were treated like, okay, as if you're an adult and you can take care of yourself. you were rejected when you were expressing your feelings, or you were being slow, or maybe you did not know how to respond to your own basic needs. This is how it develops. Right now, what are the signs that you may have avoidant attachment style is where you avoid emotions and physical intimacy on a continuous level. Like, it's going to be persistent with you, you're not going to welcome it. Then you feel a strong sense of independence. You think that, okay, I just need myself and nobody else is going to fulfill these needs for me. Then you are uncomfortable in expressing your needs, your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. You are usually dismissive to other people also when they come and open up. You have a hard time trusting people. You may also feel threatened by anyone who tries to get too close to you. You spend more and more time alone interacting with your own self. You're too focused in your own thoughts, which is something that is going to come in the way of you developing a secure attachment in other relationships, romantic and friendship, as I said. Then moving on, anxious attachment. Again, how it develops, it also comes from childhood. All your attachment styles come from childhood. Now, children who had a difficulty in understanding their caregivers, right? A lot of times, some parents see their child as a fixer or as somebody who's going to give them a solution for everything. Some parents also tend to, parentify their own child in the sense that they appoint a lot of age inappropriate responsibilities on their child. So what happens is that now this child is going to have a very, very hard time in understanding that, okay, what is my parent really feeling, right? What is my caregiver want? I mean, they would feel that, okay, there's always an expectation to, really care for the parent. So when this happens, they forget about their own needs and then they develop this attachment style. Now, children who experience a high amount of distress when their caregiver leaves, that's also another sign. Sometimes parents will be supportive, sometimes they will respond to the child's cries and child's feelings and needs, other times they will not. So again, if you have an anxious attachment style, you may also have this alternate you will be alternated between being overly coddling and detached or indifferent, right? You will easily be overwhelmed. You will sometimes be attentive, or sometimes you will push yourself away or even push other people away, right? When I say push yourself away, it's not really having a connection with yourself, right? Then maybe you were made to feel responsible for the way you felt, and when we do this to the child doesn't know how to express anyway, right? So again, the signs may be you may have clingy tendencies, which means that you might look a lot more needy to your friends or to your partners. Then you're highly sensitive towards criticism, whether it's real or it's perceived. You have difficulty being alone. You feel unworthy of love. You feel an intense fear of rejection. There's a significant fear of abandonment. You have difficulty trusting other people's. So this is all, these all are the signs of anxious attachment style. Then last one, as I said, which was fearful attachment style. Fearful avoidant, which is also known as disorganized attachment style. Now, this develops when there's a lot of neglect, when there's childhood trauma, when there's abuse. And abuse could be emotional also. A lot of times we don't really care that, we don't really make sense out of that, okay, I'm being emotionally abused. So if you're a child who has been through, persistent periods of neglect, persistent periods of abuse, be it emotional, be it physical, and there's a lot of childhood trauma, you will fear your parent, right? You will fear your caregiver. So this is how you may develop a disorganized or fearful avoidant attachment style. If you really want to understand that, okay, am I somebody who has this sign? The signs are, there's a fear of rejection, there's inability to regulate your emotions, you have very contradictory behaviors. For example, like you want to love, but when you go and love the other person, you won't be able to, like you will withdraw from it. Then there's high levels of anxiety, high levels of stress. There's an extreme difficulty in trusting other people. Like, even if you try, you won't be able to trust other people. Then it's this attachment style also has similar signs to both avoidant and anxious attachment styles. These are the four signs, four attachment styles that you may have. And if you're wondering that why do I end up dating the same kind of people, well, it's a good idea to, understand your attachment style, right? Because these attachment styles will manifest in your romantic relationships, especially. How you can look forward, in fixing, or rather working over these attachment styles, get in touch with a therapist, right? They're going to guide you beautifully through this, because sometimes we have the will to work on certain things. Sometimes we know what needs to be done, but all these things are going to bring out a lot of emotions in you. So it's best to speak with a professional, get in touch with them, understand what your attachment style is, see what your pattern is. And again, okay, I have heard a lot of my clients, or a lot of people say this, that I feel familiar. I feel that this person is home to me, right? And usually that person is very negative. That person is very toxic. So if you feel like home, and if you feel that, okay, this is somebody that I can recognize with my soul answers to this person, it's not love, it's actually the other negative signs that you are connecting with. So, all of us, right, each of us have good traits and bad traits. Usually, these are the traits that we are attracted to when we find a romantic partner. So, if you feel that, I feel like home with this person, but everyone is telling you that this person is negative and they are very toxic to you, it clearly means that you have a very insecure attachment style with them. And I mean, it makes sense, right? If you are put under a situation where you have been through a lot, where you were you had to go through a lot of stress for a very, very long period of time. Stress is familiar to you, chaos feels familiar to you. So if anyone else is going to come in and present you with kindness, with love, with affection, with admiration, with attention, that is going to make you feel overwhelmed. So next time when you see somebody treating you good and you feel that maybe I don't know how to react to this, it's a good sign that you go and speak to a therapist, understand your relationship style, understand your patterns, understand your attachment style, and see how you can work through it. Because there are tons and tons of exercises, or just by even communicating with a therapist, you'll be able to understand what kind of a bond you have and how you can move towards having a secure attachment style. Anyone who has questions related to attachment styles or relationship, that might not be good for you when you know it, feel free. I'm here for another 5 minutes. Any questions, drop them in the comment box. Hi Sarthak, how are you? Hello. Hi Sneha. Any questions, feel free to ask me. One thing I have to also tell you, that if you have an insecure attachment style with your partner or with your friends, you might not be able to also regulate yourself, in the sense emotionally, right? If there's emotional disturbance, you would immediately look for someone to come and comfort you. So this is also another sign, that you can speak to someone who is a professional, and we can guide you through your emotions, understanding that sometimes a partner is not going to be present for us to regulate ourselves, to help us in comforting ourselves, right? Again, learn self-soothing techniques, learn how to put your feelings forward, understand that what you're feeling and what your gut is telling you about your relationship or about your partner, sometimes it turns out to be true. So don't ignore these feelings, they are there for a reason. Any questions? Anything you'd like me to explain again? Let me know. Okay, people tend to control their partners. Why is it so? Again, Sarthak this comes from your attachment style, right? This controlling behavior can also be a learned behavior. A lot of times our parents try to control us, right? And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but it can turn very toxic. And I have seen few people who are now adults and they realize that, their way of, how their parents helped them growing up, their upbringing was very controlling, and sometimes controlling can also turn into emotional abuse. So if you are in a relationship with someone, or if you find any friend of yours controlling you, I think that straight away comes from their attachment style, right? Some people are very dominant, some people understand that, okay, maybe through controlling um I can get my needs met, or all my desires would be fulfilled. So again, it really speaks about who they were as children and what was their upbringing like. One thing you can do is that reflect on your own relationship with your parents. How was it? A lot of times there's so much trauma that when such people come into therapy, they also have bits and memories missing in bits and pieces of their childhood, right? They would straight up tell you that, oh, I don't remember, right? So what you can do is, Sarthak, maybe go over the relationship that you shared with your parents, or if you're asking this for somebody else, you can also suggest them to see, okay, how was their childhood, right? Were they controlled by their parents? Were there certain expectations that were put onto them, and these expectations can be very unrealistic. So they were modeled, they were conditioned to do this. Yes, absolutely. People should give their partner space and respect their partner's decision. So, Sarthak, I mentioned this in the start, in the secure attachment style. So, somebody who has a secure attachment style, they will do exactly this, right? They will take space and they will also let the other person take some space. But again, both the partners need to be in that headspace that, okay, I am willing to give my partner the space. I think this mostly comes in anxious avoidant attachment. Anxious people will find it very very hard to give their partners a space because they don't trust, right? They're having a very hard time in understanding that, oh, does my partner really love me? If you tell your anxious partner that, hey, I need to go away, or I won't be able to meet you, or I won't be able to speak to you, they will get very anxious. They will start panicking a lot, they will start judging their feelings, and they will start judging their partner if they really love them or not. So it's again coming from the attachment style. Any other questions? I will save this live on the feed. You can, revisit it and understand the attachment styles. But to tell you, there are basically four attachment styles: secure attachment, anxious avoidant, then there's avoidant, which is dismissive avoidant, and then there's disorganized attachment style. So any the next three, like which is the anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and disorganized attachment, they come under insecure attachment styles. Insecure meaning that they will find a very hard time trusting other people. They would, really judge if they're truly being loved or not. And sometimes they want to love, but they'll have contradictory behaviors that, okay, I want to love, but I don't know how to love. Then it's really a mixture, of so many insecurities, and they generally stem from your childhood. I hope that answers your question. All right, I think I'm going to wrap this up, but if any one of you wants to listen to this again, feel free to come on the feed and listen to this, right? If you're somebody who is having a lot of problem in your romantic relationships, please come speak to a therapist, right? They will make you understand of your pattern, of your partner's pattern, and why certain things keep repeating in a relationship. I will see you next time on Friday, and Friday we're going to talk about self-care. I will also have Shivani with me. So see you on Friday at 3 p.m. Bye bye. Thank you, Sarthak, for joining. Thank you. Thank you, everyone else. Bye bye.